Whether high-tech or low-tech, we're all geeks about something. Embrace your inner geek. Geek Therapy Radio.
Welcome to Geek Therapy Radio. I am your mental curator, Johnny Hemberger, and right off the bat, I used this song as my bump music. I took so much time to create that intro, and I know that if I put this on YouTube, that it'll get, I'll just say it'll get some attention from the copyright algorithm, possibly. I put words over it and speech over it, and I had it ducking underneath the intro voice, and I'm looping this part that you're hearing right now, but it's probably still gonna trip it, let's be honest. But you know what? Mark Knopfler is one of the most underrated guitarists of all time. I said it. We all know that he's one of the best songwriters of all time, but he is one of the most underrated guitarists of all time. He may not be the most technical guitarist, but the riffs that he's created, they're so beautiful, they're so elegant, and they're so catchy. This riff is one of the catchiest riffs of all time. It's great, but that's not where we're coming here to talk about today. Today, I wanted to start the first segment of Geek Therapy Radio talking about Nintendo's first venture into VR in almost 25 years, since the ill-fated Virtual Boy, which, side note about the Virtual Boy, I remember buying the Virtual Boy, when was it? Mid-90s, I want to say, when it had already been discontinued by Nintendo. It gave like kids seizures and headaches and made them vomit, and it was just really, really bad. It's just red wireframe and, well, not exactly wireframe, but you get what I'm saying. It did not do well for Nintendo, and they were selling them in the bargain bins. I think it was at EB Games way back in the day it was like $30. So of course I bought one. The games they were selling for a couple bucks a piece. I wish I still had it. I don't have it, and even though I have big, thick, crazy thick glasses, it wasn't that bad for me. I don't recall getting the headaches and nausea that some users reported, but that was just me. I don't disbelieve it. I can fully sense that, it could be uncomfortable after a while. So anyways, long story short, we're not here to talk about the Virtual Boy. We're talking about Nintendo's new venture into VR through their Labo, how do you want to say it? Labo VR kit. It launches this April, and there are two major announcements. One of the first couple games to be in VR from Nintendo in almost 25 years. So the first two games to get the VR treatment from Nintendo are Super Mario Odyssey and The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. And VR, this is interesting now because Nintendo, for the past several years at least, has been staunchly against VR. They said they had no immediate plans to get into VR, period. And this makes sense because Nintendo's mission statement, their modus operandi, whatever you want to call it, for the past few decades at least, has not been to push the technological barriers and graphical horsepower of their hardware. The Wii wasn't the most powerful thing in the world. The Switch certainly isn't the most powerful thing in the world. They always focused more on the quality of their games. And to do VR effectively, you need quite a bit of horsepower under the hood. So this brings me to my first question about Nintendo's new venture into VR. And we can speculate whether, is this really Nintendo really getting into VR, or is this kind of just a gimmicky thing? We can speculate about that, but here's my first thought on the matter. VR is a tricky thing to do effectively, and by tricky, I mean it's gonna be real tricky for the Switch to do it effectively. It's been well known that VR works best above 60 frames per second per eye, ideally 90 frames per second per eye, which when you add that together is effectively 180 frames per second. Yes, I know you're splitting the resolution between the frames and everything like that, but it really is the Nintendo Switch capable of pushing out at least 60 frames a second per eye, or effectively 120 frames per second, all combined at a reduced resolution. These are all the specifics and the caveats that remain to be seen. I struggle to see how something like Breath of the Wild is going to operate at higher than 30 frames a second, even per eye, let alone just on a single screen. If you can't keep the frame rate high enough, then it's going to be kind of theoretically, since we haven't seen this yet, theoretically dead in the water before it starts. If you put on the Labo VR kit, which first you're going to have to strap it to your head somehow. I personally haven't seen a strap yet. Maybe by the time I'm editing and put this thing together, I'll see some sort of strap. But by the time it comes out, if people are putting this on and it's the Virtual Boy all over again due to low frame rates and not just the strain on the eyes of not only 3D but just black and white or black and red like the Virtual Boy, is this going to be Virtual Boy 2? Because the frame rates can't keep up. Already, the resolution on the Switch, I almost called it the Virtual Boy. The resolution on the Switch is 1280 by 720. Split that in half, and what do you have? 640 by 370 or 60, something like. Don't rake me over the coals for the math in my head right there. But resolution, is everything going to look blocky? Is it going to be blocky and pixelated and running at a low frame rate, well below 60 frames per second per eye? These are critical factors yet to be seen. That said, I am actually pretty excited to witness this in person and try it out in person. The reason I say that to wrap this up is that Virtual Boy didn't cause me any problems. So low resolution, low frame rate VR with the Switch might not cause me any problems as well. What do you think? Comment in the comment section below if you're watching this on YouTube, and stay tuned for more Geek Therapy Radio.